Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or if you have any other significant Capricorn placements, there may be a message in here for you. So Capricorn, to get started, I'm getting a lot of energy for you that is blue and white is how it would be described. So that could be like crown chakra and throat chakra. There could be some form of expression that you are craving is kind of how it's coming through. Or that there's some sort of alignment happening between your throat chakra, how you express yourself, how you establish your presence is how it's coming through, and your crown energy as well. So that's an interesting energy to come through. Those colors might be significant to you in some way. But I was also getting a download from this book again. It was in the last Aries reading, I think. But this one is coming through with a different story. So Women Who Run with the Wolves, and the story that was coming through for you is from chapter 9, which says homing, returning to oneself. So I'm not going to read the whole story, but I will summarize it about women who are seals. They have a seal skin, which allows them to swim in the ocean. That's coming through as you today, Capricorn. And the seal skin represents sort of like the wild self. This aspect of home that's coming in for you. And the story of this seal woman is that her pelt gets stolen by a lonely man in the story. Her pelt gets stolen, so she can't return to the sea. And the lonely man asks her to be his wife, and he says that after 7 years, he will return her pelt so that she can either stay with him or go back to the sea. And so she agrees to this. For 7 years, she remains as his wife. They have a child together. And but what happens is that the longer she stays in this dynamic, she starts to wither away. She starts to dry out. She starts to lose her vision. She starts to lose this vitality within herself. Until eventually the 7 years pass, and actually it's the man actually refuses to give the pelt back to her. He doesn't want her to leave. And he knows that if he does return this aspect of her seal pelt back to her, that she would leave. So it's actually the child who finds the pelt and returns it back to his mother, and she returns to the sea, fully healed and vital and alive. So this is of course a metaphor, Capricorn. So the lonely man energy in this story is not necessarily a person, but the way that it was coming through in the story, the analysis is that the lonely man is an aspect of one's ego, right? These are all aspects of self. So one interesting thing that I read in that analysis of that story that was coming through for you, Capricorn, is so first of all, the losing of one's pelt, right? That could be something about, so the seal woman is a symbol of one's soul. The lonely man energy is a symbol of one's ego. And the child is what comes to be as a result of those two coming into union, right? So there's this energy here for you, Capricorn, of maybe your soul is calling for you to return home in some way. There's a very strong energy of returning home in order to revive your life or your spirit or your your energy in some way. And there could be some aspect of your ego, right? The mind. It could have something to do with loneliness as well, because that was really sticking out to me for you, where there's like an aspect of loneliness that doesn't want to be apart from this aspect of the soul, which is very interesting. The spirit child energy is also representing sort of like the union between ego and soul, because we can't ever destroy the ego entirely, not at least not in this realm. We all have identities, we all have physical bodies, we all have certain roles that we need to play in our lives in order to function, right? So the ego allows us to do that, and the spirit child represents sort of like ego and soul coming together to create a unified whole. So I feel like there's this energy for you, Capricorn, of perhaps you're sort of figuring out a balance between those energies of like your soul, like your pure, wild soul energy, your life force. It can't ever be destroyed is what's coming through. And your ego, which may be sort of like, there could be some aspect of your ego that like is protecting. I'm going to use the word protecting, but that doesn't quite feel right. That's like guarding or preventing an aspect of your soul from returning to its home is how it's coming through. So I don't know what this is for you, but it's like an aspect of your ego is preventing an aspect of your true wild nature, perhaps, from returning home. Like it's preventing that, right? That's how it's coming through. So there may be something of like a spirit child energy around you. This, again, could be an aspect of self. It could be an aspect of your inner child that is trying to help you to find your way home, Capricorn. And the child energy is coming through very strongly as being one of innocence, which also came in through the Aries reading. One who follows their intuition as well, and one who listens for that, the sound of home is how it's coming through. And there could be something about like throat chakra energy, like your voice or expression that is like, because it's also coming through as being like your native language, so to speak, like that kind of energy. Feels emotional again, Capricorn. There could be something about like, it doesn't have to be literal language, right? But it feels kind of like a soul language that feels like home is how it's coming through. The language of your soul's home is calling to you. Where your soul really belongs. It could be that as well. Something that's going to give you life again. It could be tied to a particular place, but it doesn't have to be. Interesting. Yeah, okay. Okay, so you have the hunter, the box, and the prayer, which is really interesting. Capricorn, your soul is this hunter energy, is how it's coming through. Your soul is searching for home. Apocalypsis at the bottom of the deck, which talks about removing the veil of deception. Interesting, because I got distracted about what I was trying to say about the analysis. I don't even know if I finished that thought. But it was talking about that sometimes when women in particular, but it doesn't have to be, it could just be your feminine energy, right? Everybody has dreams. Where women in particular, when they become disconnected from this seal woman soul skin aspect of self, when they become detached from this sort of wild nature of oneself, women can have like dreams about sort of like being robbed, being attacked by masculine energies, being hurt or harmed by masculine energies. So that could be a result of trauma, which was what was mentioned in the book. It could be sort of like a replaying of past traumas, but it could also be an aspect of self that is feeling robbed of something, right? Like your seal pelt has been stolen, which prevents you from returning home. That's how it's coming through. And again, this isn't to vilify anybody. This isn't to like put blame on anybody, because that could be sort of a victim mentality that comes through. But remembering that all of these sort of representations of archetypes are aspects of our own ego, right? So there could be something about your own ego, Capricorn, that is robbing yourself of the opportunity to return home. Like, so it could be, especially with the box right in the middle, because that talks about rules, regulations, order, like things that we have to follow, social expectations and norms, confinement, right? It's kind of coming through like that. There's some sort of like perhaps an expectation that you have of yourself that's coming through as ego, right? Like, so not not something that's like egotistical, not in that sense, more just like ego as in like, this is a rule of a role that I have to play. This is a certain expectation that people have of me that I have to fulfill. It could also be an aspect of like, you have expectations of yourself to follow certain norms or rules or regulations or whatever, social expectations. But that it may actually be draining you in some way, Capricorn. It may be draining the wild nature within yourself. Because I think we're in Sagittarius season. We're entering Sagittarius season soon. And of course this hunter energy is here. The Sagittarius energy. So there could be something to do as well with the 9th house. It's so interesting because this is number 9, right? Sagittarius also rules over the 9th house. I don't know if that was done intentionally, but the 9th house, which talks about exploration of different cultures, which is interesting. And there's something here about like social expectations, which can be different in different cultures, right? So there could also be something that's coming through, like maybe you're feeling drawn to a particular culture that's different than yours, that maybe has different social expectations or social norms that you're exploring or feeling drawn to. Maybe you feel at home in a particular culture that maybe is different than what your physical body looks like. That there could be something there as well. That could be tied to past life energy as well. Or perhaps it's something of like a place that you've always wanted to visit, Capricorn. Interesting. So if it's not like a culture that's, well, it could be, yeah, literally a culture that's different than where you grew up, let's say. We could phrase it like that. Like a different country that would have slightly different like norms, expectations, that kind of thing. It could be like a place that you've always wanted to visit or go to. I feel like there's some aspect of like it's calling you, Capricorn. There's something about that energy that's calling you. It's calling you home. I feel like there was something of your wild nature, whatever that is to you, like your soul, that was that experienced some sort of loss through the ego. I'm going to read the prayer card. What is prayer? When we are in a state of prayer, when are we in a state of prayer and when are we not? To whom or what do we pray? Archetypally, the practice of prayer has been with us since the dawn of time as a remedy for the omnipresent, self-centered thinking that spins us towards illusion. Prayer leads us beyond our ego as we move from our little story to the big one. Some say we are in a state of prayer anytime we are not the center of our own thoughts. Others say prayer is a natural result of gratitude. Perhaps it is simply surrender or service. Whatever prayer is for you, this card reminds us of its importance. Get quiet, low, humble, and soft. Bow and touch the ground as your heart lifts to the sky. Though it may be uncomfortable, it is time. Nothing else will do. So when light, offering to be of service, asking for guidance. When dark, expecting results or self-aggrandizement. To go deeper, ask to be of service. Experiment with the act of bowing down. Nearly all spiritual traditions make a practice of prostration. Yeah, the energy of the prayer is coming through as being like surrendering to something outside of yourself, sort of like a greater power kind of energy, surrendering to something outside of yourself. Because it could be something where it's like maybe you feel a bit stuck where you are, Capricorn, because that something in that story of the seal woman is that like her ego self, right? The lonely man energy, actually prevented her from leaving. He wouldn't return her pelt to her, even after the 7 years had passed. So there's something about, maybe there's an aspect of your ego that is preventing you from going after what it is that you want. Another aspect of that story that's coming through right now is also this energy of sometimes women in particular, but it doesn't have to be sort of gender-based, right? It could just be energy, your own feminine energy, even if you are a man in gender. There's something about like a lot of women in particular get over-identify with healer archetypes, right? Like that, or mother archetypes, or caretaking archetypes, right? Like having to sort of take care of others, which prevents them from returning to sort of like their wild self, right? There could be something like that that's happening for you as well. Perhaps, especially with the box, the expectations, there could be some sort of expectation that you've become sort of attached to as being sort of like, I have to do this role, I have to be in this place, I have to do all these things, but that's not actually where your soul wants to be, is how it's coming through. The bee. Interesting. Okay, because that's a card about work. The bee and the dolphin. This card has been coming out so much. It came out in the last Virgo reading as well, and I love that there are two like the ripples that are around these two energies, which is so fascinating to me. Like, I feel like there's something about like vibrations that are really significant. There could be something as well about, especially with the bee. Maybe you are feeling a bit resentful, Capricorn, about something. That's sort of the energy I was getting just intuitively. So I'm going to read the bee, which says earnest, hardworking, democratic. The bee personality is a delight to be around, especially when there's a team project on the horizon. Bees love to work steadily and thoughtfully until the final task is complete. They are sensitive creatures aware of many subtleties at once. Since they're artists at heart, they usually add creative details to the overall vision. For the most part, they have bustling, joyous personalities until they're too tired from all the work. Then they gripe and then they sting. Yeah. When out of balance, overworked and annoyed. To bring into balance a mini vacation. Okay, Capricorn, maybe you're feeling a bit overworked in some way. This bee energy. It's a really positive card. And I feel like Capricorns generally do find joy in their work, right? Generally speaking. There is sort of like this willingness to achieve and succeed and do the work and cooperate with others and like be successful, right? That's how it's coming through for you. There is a natural drive in Capricorn energy to do that. However, I'm getting kind of like, because I'm seeing like the Sustainer card in this deck, which is again a very Capricornian energy. It's very Queen of Pentacles. It's like nurturing, growing one's environment and those that they care for and all of that, like a caretaker energy. But when the Sustainer energy becomes out of balance, it comes through as being sort of like feeling resentful for having to do certain works. It's like feeling very tired and overworked and like you don't get a break. You're the only one who can sort of take care of this or like do the job or whatever. So there could be something of that that's coming through for you. And I just love these two colors together, right? Sort of like this pink energy. There's no seal in this deck, but I feel like the dolphin would be the closest to that energy. Very playful and curious. Water could be a significant energy for you, like replenishment. It's kind of coming through as like an Ace of Cups energy for you as well. But it is feeling kind of like a return to home. Whatever that means to you, like somewhere where your soul belongs and feels free and also gets replenishment and vitality. Because the prayer card is coming through as like practicing gratitude, but also asking where you can truly be of service. Because the B card is also one of service, right? Like, it's very like hive. You have the tiger, this sort of like wild, divine, feminine energy coming through for you. I feel like I'm always saying this in Capricorn readings. I feel like some joy and some fun are in order for you, Capricorn. Like a mini vacation. I feel like that's part of returning to self, is almost to like get away from all of the expectations that you have of yourself or that others have of you. I know that's not always possible. That's the thing, though. The ego tells us that that's not always possible. It's not possible for you to get a vacation, Capricorn. It's not possible for you to go and do something fun. It's not possible for you to be joyful when you have all this stress or when you have all of these worries and things. That's the ego self that tells you, like, you can't have your pelt back. You can't return home. You can't do all these things. And you must stay here so that I'm not lonely. That's what the ego tells you. So maybe there's an aspect of the loneliness, the lonely man energy that's like saying, like, that doesn't want to be alone. The ego self does not want to be alone, is how it's coming through. Because both of these cards are also very, communal energies as well, with the bee and the dolphin. So it's again, not at all to like shame the ego, right? We don't want to shame or judge the ego, because in that story, again, the child represents something that is created when the ego and the soul come together. So and it's beautiful. So there's something about like the ego, of course, we can never completely get rid of, right? We can go through ego deaths, which sort of like reshape our identities or what we thought we knew about ourselves. I feel like there's some aspect of the child energy, which is sort of like the link between the ego and the soul. The subconscious and the conscious is how it's coming through. It could be like a work project for you, Capricorn. There may be something about like, because at the end of the story, like the seal woman goes back to the ocean where she belongs. The child, who is her child, can't stay in the ocean forever. He does for a little while. Again, for 7 years, he returns to the sea with his mother. But after the 7 years, he goes back to land, and there's this sort of like connection that happens there. So there's something about like this sort of mini vacation, perhaps, that your spirit child is needing to return to the mother's home, which is coming through as being like a return to like your feminine energy. Your feminine energy's like natural state, it could be, that I feel like is being represented by the dolphin today. And then once that wisdom is gathered, you can return back to land, so to speak, but as the spirit child, as one who has a very deep connection to like the ocean and the seal mother. The dolphin card is one of healing and blessing as well, and joyousness with the prayer. Because I feel like there's something about like, yes, Capricorn, you are of service. You can be of service to others, but I feel like first you have to be of service to yourself. Because it could be something, especially if you're feeling any sort of resentment towards the work that you are doing, or anything, it doesn't have to be work related, but anything that you're doing in a group, for example, or if you are helping others or taking care of others, if you are feeling any sort of resentment about that, that could be a sign that you need a break, right? Like that you need to take time off to reconnect with this aspect of yourself. Okay, so you have two cards: Sky, Rainbow, Earth, Fire, Volcano, Earth. So this rainbow card talks about authenticity, like being your true authentic self, no matter who it is that you are around, right? Because it could be something of like Capricorn, with that seal pelt example, right? Like maybe there's some aspect of yourself that you actually remove when you're around certain people, right? Like it's like maybe, because it is kind of coming through as being like, in the story, like this, the seal woman, the seal animal aspect is her true self, but she can shed that and become a human version of herself. So it's kind of like to match the ego, right? So there's kind of this energy here of like, and we all do this, Capricorn. This isn't a judgment. I feel like there's something about like in certain environments, it may feel, especially like work environments maybe, where there's like an expectation to sort of be a certain role, like it could be something like with the bee energy, like perhaps very serious, or perhaps like, I don't know, whatever it is for you. There's this energy of like you take off the seal pelt, metaphorically. You take off your soul skin when you are in this environment and put on sort of like this mask of the ego, is how it's coming through. Which I feel like is coming through as being like, that might be draining to you. That might be sort of like, if you do it for a long enough period of time, right? Like if you do it for like a long period of time, and the story was 7 years, but of course that's metaphor, it eventually drains you, right? It sort of like caused the seal woman to like to dry up, to like wither. She couldn't see. She lost her vision. She lost her ability to like walk properly, like that kind of energy. It becomes draining. So maybe there's something about like in not having this natural aspect of yourself over a long period of time could cause you to become drained. So I don't know what that is for you exactly, Capricorn. That is for you to figure out, right? Like what is home to you? I'm going to read this volcano card. It says, a true leader recognizes the needs of the people and then inspires and encourages them to bring their passions and their genius forth. You are being called to leadership. It is time to take your rightful place at the table and to inspire others to do the same. You must share your love and guide the people to take action that is aligned with spirit. Know that everything you've gone through, the hardships, the challenges, and even the blessings, have been designed to support you in the journey ahead. The journey of being a leader of legacy. Trust the path, trust your steps, trust in spirit. Interesting. I feel like for you, Capricorn, you're being asked to like put your seal pelt back on. Your soul skin, put it back on. That's how it's coming through. And it has something to do with this dolphin energy, this joyfulness. Healing laughter is also coming through for that. Like just pure happiness and joy is what I get with this dolphin card. Very playful, right? They're like it's coming through very strongly like that for you. Okay, interesting. So you have another volcano card. Fire, volcano, sun, and then you have sky, storm, and moon. Okay, so this card talks about like your true desires, right? It is a card about like shedding the ego. I feel like for you, Capricorn, there's like something that you really desire to do. It's calling your soul. That's how it feels. It's really calling you. But again, with the box, and this card also does talk about like self-limiting beliefs, right? Like beliefs that you can't do it. It's that like ego mind, ego aspect of self that comes through with sort of like you can't leave. You can't go off and do that thing. You have to stay here so that I am not alone. That's how the ego comes through. Again, an aspect of yourself. Yeah. What are you waiting for? Release the limitations that are holding you back from expressing the fullness of your majesty and your uniqueness. Give yourself permission to be the empowered leader that you are without submission, guilt, or shame. You didn't come to this planet to dim your light or quiet your voice or be an obedient little sheep. Just because the people surrounding you are playing small doesn't mean you're supposed to follow them. You're meant to show them a better way, a more authentic way, a more expressed way. Lead by example. Let your creativity explode like a great and mighty volcano of love and beauty and magic. Release what is wanting to come forth and claim your role as a creator. Let this burst of creativity erupt and inspire others to do the same. Capricorn. Your soul is calling for you. Your soul is calling for you. Shed the limitations of your ego. Okay, I'm going to read this card because it also kind of comes through with a difficult message. The sky, storm, and moon. There is chaos on the horizon. Be the calm in the eye of the storm. There is nothing you can do to avoid the difficulty that lies ahead. Trust that your path has been charted by the spirits, that the ancestors are holding you close, and that danger will not befall you. Turn to the light of your intuition to guide you through the darkness. Remember that safety is an illusion and will never be found outside of yourself. You must turn inward to find the security you crave. You will not incur any harm as long as you stay connected to your inner light. Now is a time for trust and a time for listening. The spirits will keep you safe from harm, despite the challenges that are unfolding. Yeah. If it's not work related, that's just an example, right? One that's sort of like something to sort of ground this energy. But things like work and money in particular are things that we find security in, right? So maybe you are going through a bit of an ego death, right? An aspect of yourself that comes from ego, which is feeling kind of like craving security or craving companionship or craving others to be like, because it is kind of coming through as loneliness. This aspect of like not wanting to be alone. The ego does not want to be alone. And so it keeps aspects of ourselves sort of like under lock. There could be something about, it could be, as an example, a job or work or money, things that are like, that give us a sense of security, right? Like having a steady job, having a steady income. Those are all things that give us a sense of security. Maybe there's an aspect of yourself that's being challenged in that area for you right now, because it's kind of coming through as being like, removing this wild nature, right? In order to be in a certain job, for example, is slowly draining your life force, Capricorn. In a way where it's like, in order to get that life force back, you would have to leave, is actually how it's coming through. Use your discernment here, please, right? I'm not telling anybody to like leave your stable job or whatever, but there is something about like, maybe you need a vacation. Maybe you need to take a break. Maybe there's like some aspect of like reconnecting to home or self or your true nature that is calling you, that is demanding your attention in some way. That your heart is longing for, right? It's kind of coming through as being like something has become hardened or calloused or dry when it should be life and soft and fluid and watery. It's kind of coming through like that. Again, I'm not telling anyone to leave their job or anything like that. That is your choice. Take responsibility for your choices. This is just the energy that's coming through. I feel like there's this energy of returning to home, whatever that means to you, returning to oneself. Yeah. This is a card about openness and vulnerability, of when you are when you are truly strong and open, there's no need for armor, right? Because it is coming through as being sort of like hard versus soft, right? Brittle and dry versus like fluid and watery. I feel like there's something here for you, Capricorn, where it's like your soul just needs some water, right? Like it's like your soul needs quenching in some way. There may be something of an identity or whatever it is that sort of like stealing all your water, right? It could be like it's draining your emotional reserves. It's what's coming through for that. You have lots of fire cards. Fire, tribal fire, and sun. I'm going to read that one because it's coming through with like, maybe there's like a new job opportunity or something for you, Capricorn. Okay, so it says the fires are calling you to gather in ceremony. You are being asked to facilitate a meeting of hearts and minds and spirit. Gather your tribe together as one in nature so that you can honor the fire that lights our solar system, the fire that burns in the heart of the earth, as well as the fire that lives in the heart of all beings. Call together your nearest and dearest and prepare a ritual so that you can pray together and vision together, so that together you can amplify the creative power of your union and the sacred fire around which you are gathered. Yeah. Because it feels like there may be some sort of like ego aspect that is afraid to let you go, Capricorn. It's like afraid that if you leave this place that you're in right now, where I feel like it's draining you, there's an environment, whether it's work related or not for you, it just feels kind of like it's coming through with the box. There's expectations, there's social norms, that kind of thing that are feeling a bit confining to you in some way. You're being asked to like step away from that in however it is for you, but there may be this sort of feeling of like, I can't leave this behind, or like maybe that's part of your mind or your ego that's telling you you have to stay here, Capricorn, you have to stay here. But I feel like whatever it is that you're being called towards is this energy, which is one of like true unity, is how it's coming through, like oneness of your being. Like it would make you happy, it would quench your soul, right? It's like being returned to the sea. It's putting on that soul skin again that just fits you perfectly. It's like that's what you're being called towards, but there may be something of like the ego that's saying you can't go, Capricorn, you can't go there, you have to stay here. So just be conscious of that. And ultimately, the ego should serve the soul, right? Because especially with that example of the child, which is representing, again, the marriage of soul and ego, the child also did not want his mother to go back to the sea, right? Because he would not be able to go there with her. But there is this aspect of like, the child could see that the mother needed to do that. Like, it's kind of like, I feel like there's like a deep sense of security that's being challenged here within you, Capricorn. It's like it's challenging your sense of self or security. But it is a change that is necessary, because it's like you're slowly withering away in whatever place that you have been confined to, is how it's coming through. You're withering away there. You're not meant to stay there. Yeah. Look at all that. You have another volcano card. There's 3 volcanoes out of 4 is how it's coming through. This one is one about too much fire. Too much fire is how it's feeling. And then you have this like cooling watery energy. Water, ocean, moon, and water, lake, moon. I'm only going to read the lake one because I feel like that there's this energy of water. Your soul is needing water in whatever way that is, okay? We earthlings perceive the moon by way of the sunlight reflecting off its surface, just as shamans gather visions and insights from the moonlight reflected upon the lakes and the rivers. It is time to pause and reflect, step into stillness and rest there, contemplating all that has been and all that you aspire to be. The deeper you are willing to delve into yourself, the more insights you will discover. Don't get sucked into the distractions of the outside world. Now is the time to go inside. Allow your attention to take the shape of the moon as your innermost being becomes the waters upon which it is reflected. Can you sit patiently in the silence and allow the insights to make themselves known and to guide you on your journey? Yeah, Capricorn, you need to go inside, right? You need to go back into your soul's home and figure out what it is that your soul is calling for. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.